Okay. Have you ever thought about how you become the person you are today? Do you believe it was the nature of who you are and the way you were pre-wired, or the environment you were raised in? Today I'll be discussing the main argument of human development, the argument of nature versus nurture. Many people believe that one side is more popular than the other, but I firmly believe there isn't a stronger side. I believe both factors have a vital role into how human development plays out. I've done 6 hours of extensive research on both sides of this argument. In this speech, I will be discussing the factors of nature and nurture have both an impact on human development because of our genetics, how they biologically wire us into who we are today, our experiences form us, and how culture plays the biggest role in a person's development. If you aren't familiar with this very popular and very controversial debate, it is the debate of nature versus nurture. According to the book, The Greatest Brain Debate, Nature versus Nurture, published in 2019, John Doling, a professor at Harvard University, states, whether the development of our brain, our personality, our intelligence, and our behavior, and ultimately the demise of our brain function as we age, are more likely to be shaped and affected by our environment of our genetic coding. It's a key to understanding who we are today. End quote. This is the explanation of this argument. Some people believe human development is most impacted by the nature of who you are, and some believe it is the way you were nurtured and grew as you grew up. I believe there isn't a stronger side because both sides build a person into who they are in different ways. According to the record, Nature vs. Nurture, Will Epidemics Solve the Dilemma, published in 2020, Beta Planka, Faculty of Biochemistry and Janglan University states, different approaches that interpret nature and nurture are completely opposite or complementary aspects of our human development and have been discussed for decades, end quote. This argument started in 1874 when an English scientist wrote a book declaring that inherited factors are responsible for intelligence and other traits of human development. This was quickly argued against, starting the debate of nature versus nurture. The way a person was nurtured and taken care of as they were growing up plays such a pivotal role into who they are today. Someone's own personal experience and the environment they grew up in impacts their development greatly. According to the journal The Developmental Psychologist of Aggression, published in 2019, Alana Gordis, an associate professor of psychology at the University of Albany, states, environmental experiences can affect biological risk factors for aggression and can also moderate the effects of biological risk factors on the development of aggression, end quote. This shows one example of how a person's environmental experience can influence the development and factor into how they develop. Another example of nurture interacting with human development is height. According to the report, The Nature vs. Nurture Debate, published in 2023, Kendra Cherry, a psychologist and rehabilitation specialist and a psychology educator, states, a child might inherit the genes for height. However, if they grow up in a deprived environment where proper nourishment isn't received, they might never attain the height they could if they have grown up in a healthier environment. This proves how someone can be wired a certain way by nature, but if they are not in a healthy environment, they aren't able to reach their full potential. Nature in human development terms refers to genetics. It is the way we are pre-wired as humans. A person's biological gender is one of the greatest examples. According to the record, Gender Differences, Biology and Culture, published in 2023, Ruth Wineclaw, who holds a doctorate in industrial organizational psychology with a specialization in organization development from the University of Memphis, states, gender, or the psychological, social, cultural, and behavior characteristics associated with being male or female, is a learned characteristic based on one's behavior identity and learned gender role, end quote. This shows how the nature of who you are, whether you're male or female, plays into your development. In today's society, there are many gender stereotypes and roles that impact human development. Another way the nature of someone can impact their development is if they have a disability. People can't help if they're born with certain setbacks for their development. According to the essay, Early Intervention, published in 2023, Karen Callio, who has earned her BA in English from Clark University, states, some children were born with disabilities that impede normal development are given special developmental services as they grow up, end quote. Examples of this disability are autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome. All these genetic disorders affect the people, and they can't help the nature of who they are. The biggest way both nature and nurture play off each other is culture. Culture is a great example of how both play off each other because you are genetically a certain way and you're genetically a certain ethnicity, and those ethnicities are typically raised in a specific environment and culture. According to the report Culture Transmission published in 2023, Maureen Mahan, who received her bachelor's degree in the State University of New York, states, to fully understand cultural transmission, it is important to note the dynamic of evolution. While genetics plays a biological role in evolving species, culture plays an environmental or social role. The difference is commonly known as the nature versus nurture. End quote. This shows how someone is biologically an ethnic background, but environmental culture has a role in how they are shaped and impacts their development as they grow older. According to the blog Cultural Influences on Child Development, published in 2021 by Maryville University Human Development Program states, culture influences development from the moment you were born, making an impact on us as we grow up. For instance, culture can affect how children build values, language, and belief systems, and an understanding of themselves as individuals as members of society. End quote. The culture of a person is born into how we will affect the type of experiences and environment they are raised in which they will later show this type of person into their development, into how they develop. In conclusion, I believe it is one of the nature versus nurture are both key factors of how humans develop. This ties into the MSU Public Affairs pillar of cultural competence because it is important to be aware of how or why we are the way we are and how we were developed. Today I discussed the main argument of human development, the argument of nature versus nurture. Although many people believe one side is more impactful than the other, I firmly believe there isn't a stronger side. I believe both factors have a vital role in human development. This is because nature and nurture both impact human development based off our genetics and how we are wired, and I also believe the experiences we have inform us into who we are, basically the nature of who we are. And culture plays one of the biggest roles into how a person develops. I hope this helped you realize the different factors of who you are, and I challenge you to reflect on your life to see how far you've come because of both the nature and nurture of who you are. Thank you.